The woke Twitter mob must be running out of people to cancel. Yesterday I covered Letitia Wright getting canceled again because of her opinion on the vaccine. And today I'm covering Dave Chappelle getting canceled again for another comedy special. Dear White People EP, I think that's executive producer or showrunner, done with Netflix over Dave Chappelle's new transphobic special. Comic lambasted by GLAAD for ridiculing trans and LGBTQ plus communities. These people never rest canceling anybody for anything. It's a comedy special. People are starved for this. They want this. They're jokes. He doesn't hate the trans community. We'll get into what he said later, but being transphobic is absolutely ridiculous. This is from Deadline by Dominic Patton. It says, a day before Dave Chappelle's untitled documentary is set to screen at Hollywood Bowl and the comedian is expected on stage, his new Netflix special, The Closer, is generating a growing backlash over remarks about the trans and LGBTQ plus communities. Gender is a fact, Chappelle declares in a special, which debuted on the streamer Tuesday. Every human being in this room, every human being on Earth, had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on Earth. He adds, conspicuously negating C-sections, which make up a third of all births in America alone. He's making a point. That is so stupid to add this. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know he's making a point. You're making it out like he's leaving it out on purpose because it goes against his point. All he's saying is women are born with certain parts and men are born with certain parts. That's it. This doesn't matter. And how about this? Women can give birth and men can't. Although apparently that's controversial now. That's all he's saying. That is a fact, Chappelle goes on to say before launching into an anatomy line that trans women genitalia are, quote, not quite what it is. He's right. Chappelle also supported Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling's 2020 much criticized tweets about the transgender community, exclaiming that he is Team TERF, the acronym for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. He's saying that in the context that J.K. Rowling got canceled because she said trans women aren't women. Women are women and men are men. That's what she said, and she got labeled a TERF for it. So he's like, fuck it, I'm Team TERF. Fuck you guys. That's what happened. Chappelle's sixth Netflix special also seeks to offer contrast between rapper DaBaby's homophobic statements this summer and systemic racism. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to play you the joke that he made about J.K. Rowling.
And they've canceled people that are more powerful than me. They canceled J.K. Rowling. My God, J.K. Rowling wrote all the Harry Potter books by herself. She sold so many books, the Bible worries about her. And they canceled her because she said in an interview, and this is not exactly what she said, but effectually, she said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as shit. They started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what the fuck that was. But I know that trans people make up words to win arguments.
So he's just explaining what she did and making fun of them coming up with all these different terms to help their arguments, blah, blah, blah.
So I looked it up. TERF is an acronym. Stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. This is a real thing. This is a group of women that hate transgender. They don't hate transgender women, but they look at trans women the way we blacks might look at blackface. It offends them. Like, ooh, this bitch is doing an impression of me.
He's making fun of his race's own term. And making fun of their own reaction to blackface. He's comparing it to his own race's term. So, if he's being transphobic by making fun of the word turf, then isn't he being racist for making fun of blackface? He's black. You see?
Now, I shouldn't speak on this because I am not a woman, nor am I a trans. But as we've established, I am a feminist. That's right.
He's a feminist, so he's already on the side of what you'd call a marginalized community, even though they aren't. But regardless.
I'm Team Turf. I agree. I agree, man. Gender is a fact. You have to look at it from a woman's perspective. Look at it like this. Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person. Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something?
So, he's saying if they're calling her turf for saying gender is a fact, that women, biological women are women and biological men are men, that trans women aren't women, technically, and trans men aren't men, technically, then he's a turf. That's all he's saying. By that definition, he's saying he is a turf. And that definition is ridiculous.
Every bitch in Detroit, she's better than all.
I'm gonna go back for a second so we can get this joke again.
Of the year. Look at it like this. Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person. Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every bitch in Detroit, she's better than all of you. Gender is a fact. This is a
So, this isn't a direct comparison, but it's kind of like comparing... It's kind of like trans women competing in women's sports where they're always better. They always beat the women. And he's saying Caitlyn Jenner got Woman of the Year. She's literally beating women. A man is beating a woman at being a woman. That's what he's saying there.
fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on Earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on Earth. That is a fact.
And again, he's making a point that women have specific parts and men have specific parts and functions. So that's all he said. He isn't being transphobic. He's saying gender is a fact, and he's making fun of their terminology and cancel culture. That's it. Now to this one. Chappelle's sixth Netflix special also seeks to offer a contrast between rapper DaBaby's homophobic statements this summer and systemic racism. In our country, you can shoot and kill an N-word, but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings. That is true. They don't care if there's black-on-black crime. They don't care about it. They ignore it. But if you say something that may hurt a gay person's feelings, oh my god, you better get canceled. That's what he's saying. The comedian says, in reference to a 2018 incident involving the rapper at Walmart in North Carolina, saw another man shot and later die. I don't know about this incident. That's like all I know from this. After years of Chappelle using trans and LGBTQ plus communities in his stand-up, GLAD today drew a line into digital sand. Says Dave Chappelle, well, they're retweeting NPR talking about his stand-up. They said, in his new Netflix special, Dave Chappelle tries and often fails to justify button-pushing jokes about gay people, trans people, and feminists, writes NPR critic Eric Deggans. And GLAD retweeted and responded with, Dave Chappelle's brand has become synonymous with ridiculing trans people and other marginalized communities. Negative reviews and viewers loudly condemning his latest special is a message to the industry that audiences don't support platforming anti-LGBTQ diatribes. We agree. So I just looked up the Rotten Tomatoes score, which by the way, isn't a good metric, but it normally works to their favor. There's no critic score, but audience score is 96. So what they're saying about the audience reviews, negative reviews, not looking like there's many of those. Just saying. The organization also retweeted a post from the handle going by Holy Bullies that said, "I would suggest, Mr. Chappelle, that before you start on another one of your stupid routines about hashtag LGBTQ people, Google some names. Bayard, Rustin, Monica Roberts, Barbara Jordan, Bessie Smith, Ma Rainey, Angela Davis, James Baldwin, Audre Lorde, taking the Sir Thomas More approach." Netflix declined comment on the controversy. Reps for Chappelle did not respond to requests for comment. However, others on Netflix productions and working at the streamer did have a comment or two to make Wednesday. So far, Dear White People executive Jacqueline Moore is the most prominent figure on the streamer to speak out about the controversy. Dear White People has aired on Netflix for 4 seasons, now an EP, executive producer or showrunner, on Peacock's Queer as Folk reimagining. Moore said in a Twitter string this evening that she would no longer work with the streamer as long as they continue to put out and profit from blatantly and dangerous transphobic content. Oh no, I'm so sad. What a loss. Can't believe it. Come on. Having launched its 4th and final season last month on Netflix, Dear White People has garnered a GLAAD Media Award nomination, as well as multiple Dorian Awards nominations. Of course it has. It won Netflix a Reframe Stamp Award in 2018. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know what any of these are. I know what GLAAD is. I didn't know they had awards. Here's Jacqueline Moore. She's saying, "I love so many of the people I've worked with at Netflix. Brilliant people and executives who have been collaborative and fought for important art. But I've thrown against walls because I'm not a real woman. I've been thrown against walls because, quote, I'm not a real woman. I've had beer bottles thrown at me, so Netflix, I'm done." I actually don't believe that. I've never heard or seen anybody throw a beer bottle or throw someone against walls because they're trans. Somebody might have said something, but I don't really believe this. Maybe she was in a bad part of town. I don't know. It says, and then he ended his special with, "But I had a trans friend story." He says we don't listen, but he's not listening. Those words have real consequences. Consequences that every trans woman I know has dealt with. Bruises and panic phone calls to friends. That's real. Again, I don't believe you. So when he says people should be mad a trans woman won Woman of the Year award, when he misgenders, when he says he should have told that mother her daughter was a dude, I don't know what that's referring to. I just can't. I can't be a part of the company that thinks that's worth putting out and celebrating. I haven't watched a special yet, but I will, because I'm interested now after this controversy. It's how it works. People are starved for this content. They want this. So, making a big deal out of this is just going to give them more attention. Unlike when somebody does something woke and fuck, it could have that effect as well because people want to see it for themselves. But most people probably hear that they're inserting this woke thing into it, or things, plural, and they'll be turned off by it. But when people hear stuff like this, they get interested because they're so starved for it. You don't get this stuff anymore. So when you get it, it's a treat. But continuing on, the National Black Justice Coalition's executive director, David John, certainly had something to say also. The current head of the nearly 20-year-old civil rights group wants the closer taken off Netflix ASAP. I doubt that's going to happen. It is deeply disappointing that Netflix allowed Dave Chappelle's lazy and hostile transphobia and homophobia to air on its platform. Jesus. Hostile and lazy. I don't think it's lazy. I don't think it's hostile either. With 2021 on track to be deadliest year on record for transgender people in the United States, where are you getting those numbers? Honest question, I don't know. The majority of whom are black transgender people. Netflix should know better. perpetuating transphobia perpetuates violence. No, words aren't violence. No, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Ever heard that? Apparently not. It's not violence. Violence is somebody's own personal decision. If somebody says something that may be transphobic, even though this isn't, in this case, this isn't, but if somebody did say that, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to cause violence. It's somebody else's own personal decision whether to hurt somebody or not. Netflix should immediately pull the closer from its platform and directly apologize to the transgender community. Make no mistake, black LGBTQ plus and same gender people exist and have always existed. The fight against oppression is not a zero-sum game, and the pervasiveness of white supremacy in the United States is not an excuse for homophobia or transphobia. What? What? He's black. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say there. But he's a black guy if you're referring to something he did in that I don't understand what he's trying to say there. At the end of the closer, Chappelle, who opens the special with a "not saying it to be mean, I'm saying it because it's funny" quip, shifts focus, kind of. I'm not telling another joke about you until we are both sure that we are laughing together, he says, in a personal address to the trans LGBTQ plus communities, noting his close friendship with a now deceased transgender comedian, Daphne Dorman. And I do remember watching another one of his specials on Netflix a year or two ago. He brought the same story up. Do remember this story. All I ask from you, your community, with all humility, will you please stop punching down on my people? Closer is currently 5th on Netflix's US top 10 list. It's probably going to go up after this controversy. That just shows how starved people are. But we never get any of this from comedy anymore. And now we do. They want to cancel it. And Dave Chappelle's like one of the only comedians left that are willing to do this. It's like the only big one that's willing to joke about these things. Bill Burr is somebody that doesn't necessarily go there. He jokes about women a lot, but I don't think he really does the trans stuff, or the racial stuff, all that stuff. I mean, he might touch on some of it, but I think Chappelle goes harder in those areas. He's willing to go a little further than Bill Burr would. I like Bill Burr, but I don't think he's willing to go as far as Chappelle would. In the, I guess, what do you want to call it, indie comedian sphere, you got Ryan Long and Chrissy Mayer, Kurt Metzger, Kyle Dunnigan. Got those people that are willing to go there, but they're not prominent. They're not getting these Netflix specials. So, we don't really get this anymore from the big guys. And when you see it, it's a fun thing to watch and laugh at. These are funny jokes. Sorry if you get offended by them. Don't watch it. Just turn it off. Let us enjoy it. Don't go around canceling people. Don't cancel Dave Chappelle just because he made a joke. Don't try to get his programming pulled. Somebody else's decision whether if they want to watch it or not. If they don't want to watch it, they don't want to watch it. That's fine. But just don't go canceling them. Don't go trying to pull the special off Netflix. That's it. You don't have to like it. Just ignore it. Leave it alone. We're losing freedom of speech here. If we're not allowed to make jokes about this type of stuff anymore, then we're kind of fucked, aren't we? Sorry if you can hear the lawnmower outside, but this is the end of the video anyway. So, let me know what you think about this stuff. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Comment, share. I have another channel called Thoughtful Outlaw Sports where I talk about basketball, baseball, football, anything else sports related I'm interested in. So check that out, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.